sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're writing? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts mainly, one, because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in, like, calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome back to the show. It's a girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Now, we're having a very important and interesting conversation, in fact, about breast cancer and why exactly we need to create awareness for breast cancer. All right. Now, the reason we're having this conversation is because there was some new artificial intelligence that was developed, sometime recently to actually help with the screening of breast cancer. Right now, that's the reason we're talking about breast cancer, and obviously this is currently available only in Ireland. However, they're going ahead with plans. They're talking to developers. They're trying to get this product available in many countries as much as possible to help people for the fight against breast cancer. All right, now that's why we're having this conversation. Now, you're tuned in the Sunrise with me, Sarah, and I'm here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. All right, so make sure you stay tuned, because like I said, I have a lot of interesting things to be sharing with you to make sure that you're aware and informed about everything that happens, not just here in the UK, but in fact all over the world as well. Okay, so before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, get in touch with me. All you need to do is just text me or call me on 078 and you can find the number down there as well. So if you want to call, if you want to text, if you want to share your thoughts and opinions with me, don't be shy. All right, don't forget to do that, because I want to know what you are thinking. I want to know what you are feeling as well. Okay, now something else you can do to stay informed, to stay updated, is actually to go follow us on our socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That way you can actually make sure that you're always informed, you're always updated, and you're always aware about everything that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the world as well. Go like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and subscribe to us on YouTube, because that way you can actually make sure that you are always informed. Okay, now, if you really want to be a part of this conversation, and I mean you want to join the conversation live, you want to share your opinions with me or with anyone else who's listening in as well, make sure to get in touch with me by downloading our app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. That way you can actually make sure that you're always informed, you're always aware, and you are listening to the conversation live from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. All right, but right now let's actually head back into our conversation, which is basically about breast cancer. All right, so I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know with regard to breast cancer, so make sure you stay tuned. All right, so let's quickly talk about everything you need to know about breast cancer. Now, what exactly is breast cancer, and why are we talking about it? Why is it so important? Right now, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I mentioned earlier that when it comes to breast cancer, it is, in fact, a cancer that is commonly found not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the world. All right. Breast cancer is commonly found all over the world. And what that means is that it's one of the most commonly found cancers. And it is, in fact, a cancer that is highly prevalent. Right. So what that means is that we really need to start changing some of the things that we do. We need to try and find ways to reduce this problem as much as possible, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because breast cancer, or rather 1/4 of breast cancers or a quarter of breast cancers, are in fact preventable, right? Which means that if we are more educated, if we are more aware, and we are more informed about breast cancer, we can actually prevent people, or we can easily diagnose ourselves if we get breast cancer, right? And that way we can actually make sure that we get we get the medicine that we need. We get we get whatever drugs and treatment that we need, that will actually help us against the fight for breast cancer, right? Now, what exactly is breast cancer? So breast cancer is basically when you have a lot of abnormal cells in your breast that sort of begin to grow and multiply, right? They multiply, and what they do is they sort of divide into this uncontrolled they divide in a very uncontrolled way, right? And eventually what that happens is it ends up in forming a tumor, right? Which is, it's called a tumor. So they end up forming a tumor that can in fact become very, very cancerous, right? Which is basically how it works. Now, breast cancer starts in the breast tissue, and most commonly in the cells that line the milk ducts of the breast, right? So there is a lot of risk of breast cancer for women in comparison to men. It's not it's not rare for men. It's not like men are never going to get it, but I mean, it's very, very rare, right? Even if you do, it's very rare if a man gets it, right? It's mostly women that are affected by it, right? So like I said, it is in fact also the most common cancer here in the United Kingdom, right? But like I said, mainly affects women, but men can get it too. Now, breast cancer is in fact more common in women than men, right? In 2017, around 54,700 women and around 300 men, or rather 390 men, were in fact diagnosed in the UK. So 1 in 7 women in the UK develop breast cancer during their lifetime, and it is much, much more common in older women. Okay, so there's a risk of breast cancer which actually can be influenced by your age, your family history, your lifestyle factors such as obesity and smoking. And in terms of how common it is, breast cancer is in fact the most common cancer here, while around 55,200 people are diagnosed with breast cancer every year, right? And this is around 150 new people a day, all right? And that's pretty scary. So 15 out of 100 of all newly diagnosed cancers in the UK are in fact breast cancers, which means that about 15% of cancers are in fact breast cancers. Now, make sure you stay tuned, because right now we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking about this. But obviously you've got to stay tuned to make sure that you are, to make sure that you're aware and you're informed about what we are talking about. So until then, make sure you stay tuned.
Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, has how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no, if that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Well, you didn't do very well. And they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well in the UK. You know, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. You know, when it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. You know how much. A lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, you know, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. You know, for the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Now you're tuned into the sunrise and I'm here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you are here because I want to share my thoughts. I want to share my opinions with you. But I also want to hear your thoughts and your opinions about what we are currently talking, right? Because right now we're talking about everything that you need to know about breast cancer. And the reason we're having this discussion is because, you know, they recently developed some new technology, especially, or rather, you know, artificial intelligence that will actually help with the early detection of breast cancer, right? Which means it's a breakthrough discovery, especially given the fact that breast cancer is in fact one of the most common cancers globally, and it is in fact the most common cancer here in the United Kingdom as well, right? And what this discovery means is that it means that there will be better treatment, and it also means that sometimes you can actually prevent breast cancer, all right, as long as you take the medicine and you take the necessary steps that you need to take and you go for all your treatments. It is something that is preventable. So that means that this is in fact a breakthrough for breast cancer, or you know, cancer in general, even though right now they just focused on breast cancer, all right. So that's what we're talking about it now. Earlier we were just having a conversation about, you know, what exactly happens when it comes to breast cancer, how exactly it works, and how many people are affected here right now in the United Kingdom with you know, with regard to breast cancer. All right, so that's what we're talking about. Now, before we head back into our conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact be a part of the show. All right, all you need to do is just text me on 078-52473473. You know, share your thoughts with me, share your opinions with me. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you are, you know, what you're feeling. And if you have any experiences that you can share with me with regard to this topic, don't be shy to call me. All right, text me, call me, let me you know, let me know so I can share with everyone else who's listening in as well. All right. Now, something else that I want to tell you is that you can actually go follow us on our socials. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And that way, you know, while you're scrolling on social media, you'll actually also be informed about everything that is happening all over the world. And don't forget to download the app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store as well. All right, don't forget to do that, because that means you can listen into the conversation from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. All right, so that means your information is easily accessible to you. You can easily sort of, you know, contribute to the conversation and let me know what you are thinking as well. All right, but right now let's actually get back into our conversation, which is basically about breast cancer. Right now, let's talk a little bit about the symptoms that you need to look out for, especially in terms of breast cancer, and what exactly these symptoms are. Okay, now for example, if you feel like there is a lump or a thickening in your breast or armpit, then that is something that you really need to look out for, right? And it's also recommended, or you're actually advised to you know, touch your breast at least once a month, you know, at least once in a few weeks, to see if there is any malignant growth inside your breast. All right, so if there's a new lump or even a thickening in your breast or armpit, then that is something that you need to look out for, right? Now, change in size or shape or the feel of your breast is also something that might possibly be a symptom of breast cancer. Okay, so if you also have skin changes in the breast, sometimes it can be it can be puckering, or it can be dimpling, a rash, or even redness of the skin. Make sure you consult a doctor. If you have fluid leaking from the nipple, and if you're not someone who is pregnant or breastfeeding, then that might be something for you to be concerned about. Okay, and also if the position of your nipple changes, like for example if it gets inverted, or there is something that you normally don't have, then it's definitely good for you to go check it out, go talk to your doctor, see what exactly is going on, so you can get help. All right, and that's very important to do as well, because you need to make sure that you consult your doctor as soon as you feel any of these changes. All right, now factors, when it comes to factors that are associated with the risk of breast cancer, we will be talking about that as well, but make sure you go to doctor as soon as you can, because otherwise it can don't ignore. If you feel any differences, if you see any changes, don't ignore it, because that could potentially have much higher risks. All right, so be very, very careful and make sure that you have a healthy diet, you do what you have to do, because otherwise things can get really bad for you, right? So let's also talk a little bit about the factors that are there, especially in terms of breast cancer, and what can actually lead to an increased risk of breast cancer. Now, obviously, if you're a woman, if you're female, then you do have a chance of getting breast cancer, because women are much, much more likely than men to develop breast cancer. All right, so for example, also if you're growing old, increasing age does in fact play a role in the risk of breast cancer, because it increases as your age increases, right? Now, also if you have a personal history or a family history of breast conditions, then make sure that you constantly go for checkups, then make sure that you constantly stay healthy, you eat healthy food, and you are constantly exercising as well, because things like obesity can lead to breast cancer as well. So those are just a few things that you need to look out for, and if you feel any of these symptoms, if you have any of these symptoms, make sure you get a doctor, and you go to a doctor and get yourself checked as soon as possible. All right, now make sure you stay tuned, because right now we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. But until then, make sure you stay tuned, because like I said, we're going to head into a small break now.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because